57, 56, 55, 54, 53, 52, 51, 50, 49, 48, 47, 46, 45, 44, 43, 42, 41, 40, 39, 38, 37, 36, 35, 34, 33, 32, 31, 30,
29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello, everybody. You're in the right place. It's a different countdown. I thought, I'll chuck in another one, a little bit more of a crazier one. So there you go. You're at the right place. Of course, I'm your host, John Scott, joined as always by the man himself, the title himself, Powered4SP3. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing well. It was kind of strange hearing Zordon from the Power Rangers count us in there.
We've got everyone now.
But yes, it's a good Wednesday. I'm back with you, back with the Power 4 TV community. Thank you guys for joining us live. Thank you guys for watching us on demand. And I'm ready to talk about a little bit of wrestling. Let's do it.
Let's do it indeed. Don't forget, guys, if you want to put some questions in or comment on the show as we go along, feel free to put in the live chat, and always like and subscribe afterwards if you haven't already, if you're coming across us for the first time. That way you will not miss a beat. But let's start the show, SP3, with this then. And, of course, got to say, a little bit of a depleting thing here to have Bayley, the occurrence that has happened here. Obviously, for those people that don't know, we had this news break out very recently that Bayley had suffered quite a big injury. It's going to keep her out for quite an extensive amount of time, and it's come SP3 at such a, I don't know, of all the times that Bayley's been this new character, I've never felt like it's been more better than what it's been in the last, 6-7 months. I really think she's finally cracked it. And then this happens. Tell us more about the injury, SP3.
The injury occurred during the mandatory training for back on the road for WWE superstars at the Performance Center on Thursday of last week. Bayley was doing a bit of chain wrestling with another wrestler, and it was described as a freak accident by Fightful Select, as they reported first. PW Insider later revealed that it was a torn ACL injury and that Bayley is going to be out of action for 9 months. It couldn't come at a worse time, because I wouldn't even say the last 6-7 months. I would say the past year, especially since the beginning of the pandemic, Bayley has really come into her own and become one of the MVPs of the entire pandemic era for WWE, whether it was in the Performance Center, where, she really kind of stood out the most to me, especially on the SmackDown side. Her little banter during matches and talking trash to Michael Cole was always a hit with me. And then, we segue into the summertime with her feud with her storyline with Sasha Banks at the Golden Role Models, holding all the gold, the SmackDown Women's Championship, the Raw Women's Championship, and the Women's Tag Team titles, feuding with the likes of Kairi Sane, Asuka, Io Shirai, They were a part of some of like the biggest segments of the summer, and they were across all three brands of WWE. And then from there, it went into the feud between Bayley and Sasha Banks, which was, in my eyes, the feud of the year for WWE in 2020. Their great Hell in a Cell match stands, in my opinion, as a top 5, top 6 women's match of all time in WWE history. And then from there, she kind of segged off a little bit, I would say. She wasn't focused on too much. Of course, she was denied the opportunity to be at WrestleMania. And, her injury makes you, like, once again, like, regret the fact. I hope it makes WWE regret the fact that she wasn't given the opportunity to have a match at WrestleMania. Although she was highlighted, mixing it up with the host, Titus O'Neil, and Hulk Hogan, as well as a segment with the Bella Twins. I feel like they really missed out on the opportunity to give Bayley her matchup, with this fully fleshed out heel character, the opportunity to stand out on the grand stage of WrestleMania. After WrestleMania, she's been in a long feud with Bianca Belair, which was about to culminate this Sunday at Hell in a Cell and at Money in the Bank, this Sunday at in an I Quit match in Fort Worth, Texas, in front of fans for the first time in 16 months. And then she gets this injury. I mean, I'm not the type that's going to blame WWE for this, but for someone like Bayley, who you have depended on to kind of have one of or the best match on pay-per-view for over the past 16 months, I don't really understand why it was mandatory for her to do these, trainings and, getting back to work. But Bayley is the type, she's a team player, so she was going to do it regardless. And all we saw on social media over the weekend was so many superstars coming out and showing their support for Bayley, being upset that she's out, showing the love. And, any wrestlers that, guys like Alex McCarthy, Sean Ross Sapp have interviewed, they always say Bayley's the first person to kind of help out. Big E on SmackDown had the Bayley shirt on to try to show his support towards her. So it couldn't come at a worse time. But to segue from there, that injury kind of sparked WWE kind of revitalizing the SmackDown side, because for weeks, I do the SmackDown review over on Sportskeeda Wrestling with Rick Ucchino and Dutch Mantel, and for weeks I've been saying that women's roster is depleted after the pieces of WWE. So they did their nice job over the last week. Last week we talked about Selena Vega re-signing and returning to WWE. Now this past week on SmackDown, we saw the call-ups of Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox from NXT as a tag team, Shotzi and Nox. Apparently they got rid of their surnames and first names, respectively. And then we also saw a vignette for Toni Storm to debut on the SmackDown roster. So it feels like influx of opportunity for, the young stars from NXT getting called up to the main roster. And with Bayley's door closing and us not having the opportunity to see her with fans back live in attendance, it gives an opportunity for the younger stars from NXT to get called up to the main roster and kind of fill her shoes. But I don't think that's going to be possible. Bayley, in my opinion, was the unquestionable MVP of the pandemic era, and she's going to be sorely missed. I just hope, fingers crossed, WWE realizes that they have a ready-made babyface star upon her return, because the fans are going to show their love and support for her when she returns finally in front of the fans.
Is that wise, do you think, to come back as a babyface regardless?
I think it is. I think it is, because you're going to get a pop regardless, coming back from injury. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. And even the biggest heel, someone like Seth Rollins, who got injured during the height of his heel run in 2015, when he returned at Extreme Rules in 2016, he was cheered, and WWE made the mistake of trying to go back and make him be the same heel character that he was before the injury, and it just didn't pan out. So I hope they learn their lesson from that period and understand that Bayley is loved and adored by the fans, even the fans that are into the heel character and play along with it and boo her. I think they appreciate the fact that she has developed and become this complete total package. For a long time, Bayley was viewed as the fourth of the four horsewomen. She was the last to get called up to the main roster. You know, the hugger gimmick didn't really translate and resonate the way it did in NXT on the main roster. But if she's this confident, more evolved Bayley, but as a babyface, I think that she can get over even more than she is right now. So I just hope the WWE, you know, capitalize on the fact that the fans are going to miss her, are going to give her a warm reception, and she comes back as a babyface, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was just me playing devil's advocate there, SP3, because I was like, wouldn't it be great if you get that, like, you know, when they had Kurt Angle out on an injury and they did that wonderful video package. I think it was Coldplay, the music video,
Yes.
and Triple H the same as well. And if she comes back, you think she's going to be lovely, and then just gets on the mic and just slags everybody off, that they didn't help her enough.
They kind of did that with the promo that she did on SmackDown this week with blaming.
Yeah.
She was like, she gave the "You People" promo, which I think is the most overused trope in all of the WWE. If I hear one more heel do the "You People," you people are to blame for this.
Yeah, one of those writers likes it.
The biggest overused tropes for heels in WWE is the "You People" promo and naming off your resume. If I have to hear one more time how many freaking titles the Miz has won, I'm gonna really just try to blow out my eardrum so I never have to listen to it again, because it's by far it's ridiculous how many times he has to tell us, I'm a two-time Grand Slam winner, I'm a two-time WWE champion, I'm a two-time Money in the Bank. We get it. We understand. We got Wikipedia, bro. We don't need you to name off your resume every single time. That's not how human beings talk. It's just ridiculous. So I hope that they don't give us the "You People" promo. They don't give us Bayley saying that she's the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion in a very obnoxious way like the Miz does his resume. I hope she comes back and she embraces the reception that she's going to get.
Absolutely. Yeah, I kind of feel, as a side note, that Bayley has almost stepped up to that level now where I kind of see Charlotte, like, you know, there's a respect thing by fans, even though she plays the bad, like, people just have that respect now for her. It's taken a long time, don't get me wrong, but I feel like that's where Bayley is, which is fantastic considering where she was when she was doing the whole tag team thing with Sasha, and nothing ever came out of it, which was just so depleting to me by the end of that one. It was knackered. But a couple of comments coming in as you were talking there, SP3. And of course, the conspiracist theorists are out there, of course, as you'd expect, especially on this channel, with stuff like that. But Carnage Payne, he thinks, I think that Vince made her and he worked her too much. I don't know if he's being serious there, Carnage Payne. Surely you can't be. I doubt very much that was the case. And I think people are, again, reading way too much. Like, this is just something that anyone could have got hurt from. You know what I mean? I don't think it was necessarily like, we're going to do it on purpose and lose one of our best stars because we want her out. I mean, come on. That's pretty crazy. Fifth Gen is here. Hello. Carnage Payne is actually saying to there. But he also sent one to us earlier. I hope everyone is doing well. Yes, we are. And I hope you're well as well, my friend. And also Rambo agrees with you on this one. Bayley is crazy good. Agree with SP3 here. That might be one of the only times there, SP3, that you might hear rambling Rambo.
He must be in a good mood. He might have gotten laid.
Yeah, last couple of weeks.
I don't know. Last couple of weeks. Like, he's in a good mood. He sees talent in somebody for once. I'm proud of you, Rambo.
However, Rambo also follows up with this, so it could be short-lived there. So why are superstars doing that, breaking character to Bayley? Why not do it by text? I kind of do see that point sometimes. It depends who's doing it. I mean, yeah, you don't really want too many baby faces doing it, I suppose, or people that have been in feuds with her. But I kind of get where he's coming from. But at the same time, I just think it's past that now, Rambo. I think that, like, I don't feel there's any protection going on. So, like,
I don't understand why Rambo wants to stay in the 1980s. I understand that's Jim Cornette's shtick. And Dan Lambert cut a great promo on AEW Dynamite Road Rager last week, mimicking that. But, like, come on, get out the 1980s. It's 2021. They're going to do this on Twitter. This is the world and the wrestling world that we live in now.
Yeah, and your boy Romeo, who joined us at Big Fight Weekly last week, in fact, with a couple of questions on Conor McGregor, but also says this does open up a door of opportunity for Carmella, of all people. So, yeah, I mean, imagine that.
I was so disappointed. Like, that's why
SB3's reaction.
I didn't even mention that because I was so disappointed. Like, they hyped this up, like, oh, we're gonna have a replacement for Bianca Belair. Like, they know that this matchup wouldn't have drawn any viewers, so they took it off the Money in the Bank card and put it on this week's SmackDown. Yeah, it gives SmackDown a title match for people to look forward to for the first SmackDown in front of fans in 16 months. But is anybody looking forward to Carmella versus Bianca Belair? I don't think so. And I feel bad for Bianca Belair because she had a pay-per-view matchup taken away from her because her opponent got injured. That's disappointing for her. Bianca Belair has delivered on pay-per-view throughout her title run and, especially her title win at WrestleMania. So I really feel bad for her and the fact that she got a pay-per-view match taken away from her because no one thinks that Carmella is beating her for the SmackDown Women's Championship. The only good thing to come out of that announcement is that it opened the door for Liv Morgan to be in the match. So at least there's that.
Yeah, good point. Moving on, SB3, it's time now for, of course, WWE NXT recap. So putting that in there, I know that we've had this conversation many times. It is the same company, people. But the recap from this week, SB3. Tell us what you thought about this week's episode of NXT.
Overall, I would say this is the weakest NXT in a couple of weeks. The main event is the number one thing that stood out to me. I thought that Johnny Gargano and Karrion Kross had a really good main event matchup for the NXT Championship. Just Gargano being a babyface or playing a babyface for at least this match is just like it's a wonderful sight to see because that's the best Johnny Gargano is when he plays the babyface, when he has the crowd behind him, doing suicide tornado DDTs, hitting the one final beat, and his selling is just exceptional, and it made Karrion Kross look like the beast that they always try to portray him as. And Karrion Kross had another good performance in this matchup, getting the win with the elbow to the back of the head. And then after the match, we had the period in the match where he put on the straitjacket choke and Johnny Gargano got to the ropes. Samoa Joe, who was the special guest referee, pulled them off. We had a little confrontation there. We also had a confrontation earlier in the night when Samoa Joe was asking them, to respect the rules and respect him during the matchup. They had a little confrontation there. They had a confrontation on the outside of the ring as well. And then after the match, Samoa Joe and Karrion Kross had their face-to-face. Samoa Joe went to leave, and Karrion Kross locked on the straitjacket choke on Samoa Joe. So it looks like finally you got to put up the gif from The Office with Steve Carell saying it's happening. Samoa Joe may have been cleared, ladies and gentlemen, and we may be getting Karrion Kross versus Samoa Joe, which I'm all excited for. I think it's great. However, this whole story feels rushed as it's ridiculously rushed. It feels like I'm watching the WWF Invasion again, where they went through like 6 months of stories in a matter of 6 weeks. It's only been 4 weeks or 4 or 5 weeks since Samoa Joe came back to NXT. He plays this enforcer role that's supposed to stop all the pull-apart brawls, which it did not stop pull-apart brawls at all. We even got a pull-apart brawl on this freaking show, which he wasn't a part of because he was too busy being a special guest referee. And then he comes back, and it's like he's already about to have a match a month in. Like, it's like you really rushed through this story. I'm all for Samoa Joe, getting back in the ring and being cleared. I just think maybe there could have been another role for him instead of this. I don't know. I don't know how I would have done it, but it just feels very rushed, this story. But like I said, I'm all for Samoa Joe versus Karrion Kross, so that makes me happy. That looks like it's going to be the next TakeOver main event for SummerSlam weekend. We also had a very solid, very good opening matchup with Dakota Kai and Ember Moon. Dakota Kai getting the victory. I feel bad for Ember Moon. I think her and Shotzi Blackheart although their promos are weak together, them in the ring made a very cool tag team and a very good like top babyface team on the NXT Women's Tag Team division, which we talked about last week is the most useless and needless title in NXT. We didn't even see the champions on the show last night, but at least they got a video package to highlight that they won last week. But Ember and Shotzi made a good tag team. So with Shotzi going to SmackDown, Ember's now on her own again. And it just feels like they are not really giving her the push or giving her the status that she has earned as a former NXT Women's Champion, former NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. And they used her to put over Dakota Kai, which I'm all for, because I feel like the NXT Women's Championship matchup for SummerSlam weekend takeover should be Dakota Kai versus Raquel Gonzalez. After the match, we got though Xia Li coming out and making a challenge for Raquel Gonzalez. Those two are going to verse for the NXT Women's Championship next week. So hopefully after that match is done, we get a clearer path to Dakota versus Raquel SummerSlam weekend. Fifth Generation Carney here saying Gargano getting put back first into the announce table looked rather painful. I agree. He sold the hell out of that as well. That was not a fun spot at all, I'm sure. Yeah, so I like that stuff. We got a big surprise on the show as Mandy Rose made her return to the NXT roster. She was watching the Saray versus Gigi Dolan matchup, which I thought was an okay match. I think Saray looked great. That drop kick to the face of Gigi Dolan was ouch. Probably the highlight of the night for the entire show, and her Uranagi driver looked really good as well. We got more development in the women's division as Kaden Carter and Casey Canizaro defeated the Robert Stone brand of Aaliyah and Jessica Maya. After the match, Aaliyah turned on Robert Stone, being frustrated with all the losing. And then Jessica Maya kind of was stuck in the middle, whether she was going to go with Aaliyah or stay with Robert Stone. And then Frankie Monet came out and guided her to the back. So it seems like Frankie Monet is going to be now the leader of the Robert Stone brand, which I don't know if that's the best use of Frankie Monet. I'm just going to say that, put that out there.
Yeah.
Frankie Monet also had a confrontation with Mandy Rose later in the night. And then WrestleVotes and PW Insider reported today that apparently this is a part of a trade that went down where Mandy Rose is going to be on the NXT roster full time now. Who cares about her tag team with Dana Brooke, apparently? Now we only have 2 tag teams on the main roster once again, as Shotzi and Nox and Tamina and Natalya are now free to feud over on SmackDown. Who cares about the Raw tag team women's division, I guess? And Aaliyah is going up to Monday Night Raw, and I thought, I'm shocked by that. Honestly, I thought Aaliyah would be a lifer in NXT. I don't think she's improved drastically in the 6-7 years she's been with the company. So this is kind of them kind of just saying, hey, we got to give you the opportunity. You've been in NXT long enough. We're going to call you up to the main roster, and maybe we find something for you. And maybe she can be like an Elias or a Baron Corbin who got a moniker or was at a certain level in NXT and then rose to prominence. Probably the better, comparison for her would be an Alexa Bliss or a Carmella, who were like managers and very, very rarely in the ring, and now they've gone on to winning the SmackDown Raw Women's Championships, Money in the Bank for both of them. So hopefully Aaliyah can follow that path to success on the main roster. So I wish her the best of luck. And I thought the breakout tournament matchup between Ikemen and Duke Hudson was rather good. It kind of surprised me and exceeded expectations. I think Ikemen is got a lot of talent. He's got so much charisma. I love the fact that he wears his little blazer in the ring and he uses his blazer for like shote punches. Just cool stuff all around from Ikemen. I think he's going to be a star. I wish he versed someone else because it did make sense for Duke Hudson to move on, but I wanted to see more of Ikemen. But that was good. Like I said, the breakout tournament stuff, that match was good. The opener was solid. The main event was very good. But other than that, I felt like there was a lot of filler on this show, and it wasn't the best episode of what we've seen over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, lots to take away from that. As you say, the whole thing with that tag team, I mean, it's just got even worse, really, going forward. And a few people coming in with some comments. Let's go through some of them here. Rachel Carnell saying, what about Eva Marie? I think that's from our last
there's
part.
three.
I mean,
We got three. We got three women's tag teams. I apologize. We got Dewdrop, and Eva Marie as a tag team as well.
Fair enough. Rambo, I think he's got to be joking when he said, I'm excited. I think that was the follow-up for Carmella from what he was saying. He's got to be kidding. He's having a laugh with us today, trying to push our buttons, I really do believe. Also, Rachel saying, also, what's on your tee? My t-shirt, this is, let me get it in. This is an old Ronda Rousey UFC t-shirt. It's just before she got to the WWE. And at this point, she was still unbeaten because that was part of her record. So, yeah, it's a throwback t-shirt that I thought I'd wear because, SP3 is a huge Ronda Rousey fan, right? So I'm trying to set his day up here. I'm trying to make it, that appealing so that his subconscious sees Ronda Rousey because obviously she's not around at the moment. So, she's got more important things to be getting on with. And also Rachel saying, what are you drinking, John? Well, it's nothing amazing. It's an orange and a mango smoothie for anybody that wants to know. I hope this doesn't turn into the microwave scenario we had a couple of weeks ago with this one. Also, your boy's back here, Romeo. Congrats on your promotion, Mandy. Weird thing was her gimmick apparently being the same as Frankie Monet, dueling managers. Yeah, I mean, he's got a point there, to be fair, on that one. And also he follows up with the Cameron Grimes bits were great. Yeah, would say so as well. And,
I didn't like it. Yeah, I'm a Cameron Grimes fan, but the whole point of this should be that LA Knight is embarrassing Cameron Grimes to make the fans want to see Cameron Grimes eventually get his revenge on him. The fact that they have him one up LA Knight in the first day of him being the butler, it just didn't translate well. Cameron Grimes is great at what he does. He's entertaining, of course, but it didn't connect with me, and it just felt like they rushed. That was another thing that they rushed through, it seemed like.
Absolutely. And Lewis Young popping in. Like the photo, Lewis, tell us more about that. I can see you in a ring. Tell us more about that. Have you been practicing? We know Lewis he's a massive TNT fan. I know that much as well. That shows will be coming soon, Lewis. But yeah, let us know about that picture. But always great to see you in the chat. And lastly, Carnage Pain, are there too many titles? Well, 100% absolutely. I feel like, like we spoke about the tag team thing. It's a bit like, I suppose, do you remember when WWF used to have the cruiserweight belt, but there was only like two guys that ever used to go for it, which was normally Taka Michinoku and then a guy they bring in for a couple of months and then he goes away. And it was a bit like the women's belt used to be, in fact, with Alundra Blaze and stuff like that. Like there's only two or three maybe at best that were around at one time. But in general, there are way too many belts. It's almost like the 50-50 booking has now rubbed off onto belts because everyone's seems to have one, even though in this day and age, the more you have, the more spread out it is, the more devalued they all become together. That's the big problem for me. So I think less is more. I understand they might say, well, we've got a huge roster now, we've got 3 brands, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, when you're trying to do those moments, especially on NXT, where they're like, oh, we've won the NXT title, you try and recreate that as good as the first time on the main show. There's been times where I've actually enjoyed it more when they captured the NXT title. So it's kind of like, it doesn't always work. Like Finn Balor's a classic one for me. Although it was all like up in arms for Finn Balor to win that Universal title the first time around, I was actually more enjoyed it in NXT. The same with Kevin Owens and stuff like that. So that's my opinion. What about USB3? I mean, do you think surely somebody internally in WWE must be thinking the same as us and going, hang on, there's just too many bloody belts. I mean, I can't keep up with it. I honestly can't. I've kind of stopped caring, of knowing. I used to always want to know who was the champion and the holder, but it's kind of like, well, it's just too much to keep up with.
Yeah, I mean, there's way too many belts. Like I said, the NXT Women's Tag Team titles are absolutely useless. They should have just kept it with the WWE Women's Tag Team titles, spread it across all three brands. You know, when Bayley and Sasha Banks had it and they were defending on all three brands, I felt like that was the height of the Women's Tag Team titles. So if they would have kept that going on, you know, allowed maybe Dakota and Raquel to win those titles, I think it would have caused more value, more prestige for those belts. But unfortunately, they didn't do that. So it is what it is. And yeah, there's numerous belts that are absolutely useless. The 24/7 title, for one.
Don't even talk about that.
Yeah, throw that in the bin. Like that's just useless. There's a bunch of them, but yeah, those are the ones that initially come to mind for me.
Absolutely. And Lewis Young, no, I'm training to be wrestling in Scotland. So well done, Lewis. Let us know how your progress goes with that, my friend. Be very interested to know. Let's move on again then through the show. What's up next? And of course, we've got potentially, I've always keep saying this is going to, like, people always throw this at, the New Day split. I mean, this has been probably talked about as much as sort of will John Cena ever turn heel and all this sort of stuff. It's been a long old time these guys have been together, and whenever it does come up, my thinking is, at this point, is it necessary? And you know, what harm does it do to have some sort of association but still breaking off and doing individual things? I don't know. Obviously, these guys between them have been a huge merch seller. They've been on a lot of different brandings through the years. They've done a lot of commercials. They've been on loads of different food items and goodness knows what else. Great chemistry. But of course, WWE, they have a tendency when anybody is thrown together, the first thing anybody says is, oh, I wonder, that'll be a good match potentially between those two guys in it. So it's never like people look at the group and go, they're really good together. They'll have each other's back. It's always like, well, when's that person going to screw the other person and when we're going to get the match for it? But this is why I've enjoyed New Day, because they're almost original because they haven't gone that way for so long. Is this, you know, a good time to do it, SP3? Would you want to see it, or do you kind of feel like, you know, is there much point to it by this point? I mean, where is this all coming from?
Well, it comes from our good friend Alex McCarthy over on TalkSport. He interviewed Big E. Big E gave him a hell of a rub, saying that, you know, he's a big fan of Alex to start off the interview. But Alex asked him, has, you know, when was the last time, or when was the first time that the New Day split was brought up to him? And he talked about how Vince McMahon apparently telling the New Day about the idea to break up the group after Kofi Mania. Big E told Alex, I know there were rumors for a while that certain things were pitched, but I think because we had been so adamant about not wanting to be broken up, I think that's where people were like, I don't know if we should, because they really don't want it. I can't really divulge the conversation, but even from the top of the business, the very head of what we do, you know exactly who I'm talking about. He directly told us, hey, this is the idea. And we said, we're not feeling this. This was post Kofi Mania. There were people who wanted it earlier than that as well. He also talked about how there were some previous ideas and plans for New Day. He said, and I quote, if we'd done it, we would have missed out on so many great moments. I still think that doing it now or soon, there are great moments to come, and we have a lot more to offer. I think you've seen happy, clappy New Day for a very long time. I still even want to play around with the original idea we had when you saw Woods come out in that white and red suit in 2014. That was our original intent, our original plan, to be this hard-nosed, not shaking hands, not singing, not chucking and jiving anymore. We're not taking it anymore. We're not sitting back. We're going to take it. Obviously, the group ended up being the exact opposite. He laughs. Instead of no more shaking hands and kissing babies, we now specialize in shaking hands and kissing babies and dancing. We had to pivot a bit, but it all worked out for us. So, I mean, I think that the New Day's legacy overall should be that they are the group that never breaks up. I think if they go their separate ways and they're still able to keep intact, you have a lot to, you know, go about with that. You have the opportunity to have like Xavier Woods as a King of the Ring, Kofi Kingston as a WWE champion, Big E as the Universal champion if he wins Money in the Bank and he's able to cash in. There's a lot of different ways that they can go about, and there's a lot of things to offer. I think a more serious New Day might be a lot for people to take in, but it can work. They can go, you know, the heel direction. You know, they were the laughing and, you know, dancing and over the top heels in 2015, and that got over to the point that they became baby faces organically. But they can turn back on that and say they're not doing that anymore. They're not being the New Day that we want, the New Day that we've grown to love, and they are going in the exact opposite direction, and that could turn them heel. It would be a hard job to kind of convince all the fans to turn on them, but there is a lot for the New Day to offer. I think right now the current incarnation of the New Day is a bit stale, and I know my wife have said that, and even when you take those quotes from Big E, you can kind of tell that he even feels that way. But I think that they have a lot of other things that they can explore. You have the New Day podcast, which is a very successful podcast for them in the WWE. You got Up, Up, Down, Down, where, you know, they've already are potentially losing Tyler Breeze, and, you know, due to him not being with the company anymore. You don't want to lose the nucleus of the New Day on Up, Up, Down, Down as well. I think that would be very, very, you know, horrible for them, and they would be missing out on a lot for theirs. So there's a lot of outside projects that the New Day does that they wouldn't be able to do if they separated the group. I think there is ways to play on it where we can still see the New Day go against each other in more of like a friendly rivalry, for the benefit of competition or friendly competition, something like that. There is other things that they can explore, other directions they can go without the group turning on each other. So I kind of agree with Big E's sentiment here. And I think that, yeah, their legacy, you know, I heard Alex McCarthy say the same thing. If their legacy is they are the group that never breaks up, I think that is something that will live on way past their careers.
Yeah, 100%. And totally with you. What they need to do is they need to do something really serious where one of them gets really badly hurt or victimized, but do it serious. Don't do it half-assed. Do it proper in a main event type thing and get them like, you know, we're not messing about now. We've got to do this proper and get that serious game and transition it properly. The other way of doing it is something I saw in NXT UK like the back end of last year, which is where the character Eddie Dennis was kind of going between tag teams, trying to manipulate them between one another. And you can play into that as well. You could maybe throw a manager in with them for a couple of months and, you know, stir it up a bit. But there's ways of doing it creatively and good television without going, right, we've got to have match, you know, we've got to have Kofi versus Big E. And, you know, after it's done, it's like you come away thinking, was that all worth it? And 9 times out of 10, it wasn't. And you feel like the legacy would have been far greater to just have continued together, as you rightly say. And sounds like he believes that as well. A couple of questions, a couple of comments, coming in for this. And kind of Japan saying, I wouldn't split them. Rachel Carnell also the same, leave them be. Fifth Gen, when you are at a live show, New Day still get one of the biggest pops of the night. Totally, they really do. And Romeo, too soon to put them all on the same brand again. Keep them away and stick to it. Always money and a reunion. Yeah, totally. I mean, that's the thing. Although they say they might be a bit stale, over the long jeopardy of it, like the whole range from where they've come from to now, I mean, there's been a hell of a lot of wrestlers that have been stale in all that time, so they haven't done a bad job in my opinion in the grand scheme of things, you know, and especially in the last 12 months, which has been challenging for most. So yeah, I would keep them together. Totally. Okay, guys, it gives us a chance to take a quick break now. Couple of little short videos coming up here. This is an interview that I conducted earlier this week, and it will be coming out this Friday. Check this out now. Obviously, the last time you and I saw each other face to face, I'll admit now I did get a little bit carried away with my. To this day, I still don't know what come over me. I got a little bit excited. It went to my head. I apologise 100%.
The problem with being an Arsenal fan is you have to be a realist. And as we know, a lot of football fans are not realists at all. Firstly, you hit the nail on the head. When I first started doing this, and it kind of goes into what we were talking about too, everyone was negative. Everyone I watched, negative. So I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't like it. I don't watch it. And it's not my nature. It's kind of like, I kind of do what you do. Like, but the way I approached it was though, so, you know, you had your Sergeant Slaughters, your Ted DiBiase, and I'll watch what they did before they got there, you know, be it whatever territory they were in. And that's when you really learn so much about, like you say, where wrestling's come from and the fact that it's cyclical and the fact that everybody is still stealing all their stuff.
Yes, there you go. It was a long time coming. The first time myself and Simon had shared a screen, at least, since the moment. I'll put it down as a moment, a shock moment on my behalf. I apologise to Simon, as you saw there in the clip. Wanted to get that out of the way with very early in the interview and address the elephant in the room. I think we managed to do it by the end of it. But yeah, do check out what Simon has to say. We talk about all things, not just wrestling, but also content creating, what he thinks about that and the marketplace and everything he does at What Culture. And of course, even with Alex McCarthy as well, all as one big unit. But yeah, check that out. That'll be dropping on Friday. And furthermore, this Saturday, it is the return of, all the way from Chicago, this.
Back. Now it's time to start doing what we love doing best. Fighting. Now it's time to defend something that I said I'd die for. Climbing mountains, training hard, and straight up hitting it cracking in general.
Wrestling fans, Chicagoland Championship Wrestling presents Saturday Night's Grapple Master.
Yes, there you go. The return of Chicagoland Championship Wrestling. The latest tapings will be available on Powered4SP3 this Saturday. And always got to throw this out, of course, because you see $7.99 there. But if you use this code SP3, guess what? 50% off. 50% off your first month. You can check out Chicagoland Championship Wrestling's new event, but you can also check out everything else available, over 400 hours worth of professional wrestling, and of course the great guys like your SP3 here from Tru Heel Heat. You'll see Tru Heel Heat here. You'll see also Sports Keeda. I would say Tru Heel Heat and Sports Keeda have become our biggest shows now for news content and keeping up with all the latest stuff, all the reviews. You won't get any better, especially with you guys, SP3. I mean, you guys, I've got to say, and I'll say it here, you know, I definitely, you know how much I think of you guys, but you guys have grown so much with your channel. Only the other day, me and Rich was like, bloody hell, they are putting out a lot of content, because obviously we see it because we have to throw it up each time. We're like, blimey, they've done more and more and more. And you know, I know people might think, you know, it's easy or whatever, but yeah, we enjoy doing what we do, but sometimes it takes a lot of work. The consistency, the dedication. So hats off to you guys over there at Tru Heel Heat, my friend. Always good to have you on that side. Let's go to some comments now then, shall we? We've got, first of all, Honest Beyond Reasonable. Hi all. I'm not sure I like the idea of Tommy ending AEW as much as everyone. Maybe I just need time to see what they will do with him in time. Maybe that's supposed to say 6 months. I know all AEW fans love to go, now they will finally, and it continues with, get booked better. But like I've heard you say in the past, there's only so many spots at the top, so it might have a honeymoon period but I'm more about wanting to see them progress and grow. Yeah, fair enough. We're going to get to this. We might as well talk about this now, SP3. To be honest with you, as he's brought this up, we were going to get to this anyway. But of course, the debut here, and I've put it on the wrong damn thing because I'm an idiot. I put it on the ticker. Bear with me, people. This is my producing. There we go. Bang. But yeah, what did you think about this SP3? Were you as blown away as everybody else? Because this got some crazy reviews from everybody, and they said, "Wow, what a way to bring him in! The eyes, the kick, everything. It seemed to be very smooth. It's probably for me. I'll say this much." It's been one of the more better ones I've seen. Like sometimes they bring out guys and it's like it's a random thing they do. Like they go, "Oh, he's here," and he just stands and waves or something. This was pretty good. I enjoyed this one. I felt like they found a loophole in the contract, obviously, because you didn't have to wait for so many days. That was smart. I give AEW that, and of course him as well. And I know that they pounced on it literally because he said, like, I'm not sure I've got what everybody else has got. So they capitalized on that. That was good thinking. So I think nobody saw this coming because, normally there is a set amount of days where you cannot turn up anywhere else. So this was good in that sense. What did you think about it overall, SP3?
I would say this is the best debut they've done in quite some time. It was a genuine shock. Like I had people on my timeline as I'm tweeting out during Dynamite saying, "Oh, maybe Tommy N's gonna debut," and I'm like, "Oh, he's still in the middle of his 90 days," and then I had to tweet back, "Oh, I stand corrected. He's not in the middle of his 90 days. He's here." It was a very shocking moment. I thought it was very well done. I loved the tease earlier in the night with the blackout during the Cody opener with QT Marshall, the South Beach the South Beach strap match, and them playing it off like technical difficulties or because of the storm that was going on in Florida, and then having the blackout again. It just caused you, we're having technical difficulties again, and then he's in the ring. He gives the black mask to Arn Anderson, gives the black mask to Cody Rhodes. It was just so well done. It felt like a genuine shock. Had a great response from the fans in Miami. It was just beautiful. Great. But yes, we have to give AEW credit for keeping it a secret, for the way they presented it, how it was done. But no, John, we are not going to give AEW credit for WWE making a stupid mistake. It was WWE's mistake. That's not something we can praise AEW for. They didn't find a loophole in his contract. WWE just didn't put the 90 days on Aleister Black's contract when he got called up to the main roster 2 freaking years ago. He was still under the NXT 30-day clause, according to PW Insider. If you believe them, that is the cause of this. Or if you believe Dave Meltzer said that he had a clause in his contract that said he could get out of it after 30 days. WWE tried to call him and ask him, "Oh, do you want the 90 days?" And he was like, "Nah, I'm good. I can.
Do you want the 90 days?"
He's like, "Nah, this will work out beautiful for me. I'm gonna shock the world. I'm gonna sign a big contract with AEW." And I can understand Honest Beyond Reasonable saying, they only have so many guys. But as we've seen with AEW, the guys that do deserve a prominent spot usually do. It might not be immediately, but they eventually do get the spot that they do deserve. They do get the opportunities that are there for. Someone like Miro, I was very critical of Miro's debut, although I thought he fit perfectly as the best man for, Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford because of his history with weddings in WWE. He was not really capitalized on the star that he was or is now. And now we're seeing it all come to fruition as God's favorite champion, as the TNT champion. He's in the spot that he deserves, and he's in a spot that he's highlighted very well. Someone like Andrade, who had a lukewarm debut, he still was given, the opportunity on last week's show to have a showcase match with Matt Sydal. And I have faith that they are going to find a role for him that, it fits with the talent that he has. And that's why I feel with Malakai Black, he's in a prominent role from the jump. Like, he's in a feud with Cody Rhodes. All we need is to Cody to not be Jeff Jarrett, in TNA and try to book himself to win this feud. We need this feud to end with the Black Mass to Cody, with Malakai Black beating him and moving on to bigger and better things, whether that's the TNT Championship or the AEW World Championship. I think that Malakai Black is the type of character that you want something big for him. And, you know, a first feud with Cody is a great way to kind of start out in the company. You know, where Cody was at, it was not really working. You know, he was in the Codyverse, kind of away from everything that was going on, feuding with the Factory, you know, with the Nightmare Family and stuff. Now he's back in the upper mid card to main event place where he's in a feud that he can make somebody. He's kind of responsible for the rise to being a top star in the top heel in the company that MJF is today. I think Cody is very, you know, responsible for that. Where Darby Allin is considered, you know, either a future star or one of the top stars in the company. A lot of that is down to, you know, Cody having a long feud with them, you know, Cody beating him 2-3 times, having to draw with him in his debut, and then eventually losing to Darby Allin. It propelled him to be one of the top ratings movers of this year so far with his TNT Championship run. Now he's aligned with Sting. He's still in a prominent role. He's got the big matchup tonight on Fyter Fest against Ethan Page in the coffin match, which I feel should be the main event of tonight's AEW Dynamite. And Darby Allin, I don't think it's going to be moved from that role. I think that he should be considered one of the top babyface in the company, and a lot of that is down to the work that he did with Cody Rhodes to get himself there. And I think Cody can have that same type of effect on Malakai Black. But there's a lot of other matches that I want to see with Malakai Black. I want to see him versus Pac again. I think they can do it better than what they did on the NXT, the WWE UK, or first show that they had in 2017. I think that him and Darby Allin just have the two personalities that kind of fit the best together, and they can have a very unique and different feud from everything else that we see in AEW today. Of course, Malakai Black and Kenny Omega would be great. Malakai Black versus Hangman Page. Malakai Black is the type of talent that he has a character that is totally different than what we see in AEW. Like, you have a Darby Allin who has this dark persona, but he's more of a Jeff Hardy type character, where Malakai Black has the feel of, you know, the OG Bray Wyatt or the Undertaker in a lot of ways. He doesn't have the look and the feel to him, but I think the presentation is very reminiscent of that, and I think that he can stand out and be a top star for AEW. So I'm very happy with his debut and very happy about his future in the company.
Absolutely. Yeah, sounds like promising stuff. Yeah, the only thing I ever worry about when people start off with Cody, it's like with Cody feuds, probably because he runs the company, so he's getting carte blanche to what he wants to do here. But it always seems like with Cody's feuds, it's like the stake, he's trying to make it so high, and then you have another one and it's getting higher, and then he tries to sell you another stake that, you know, everybody's on top, and it's like, how many times can he keep doing it? And that's the only thing that I kind of worry in this one. I hope that he doesn't drag out too long where they start exposing him too much, because at these early days I would say less will be more, because, you know, people just want to see him, but it's like, keep it back a little bit, you know, don't just throw everything out. Have it like a work in progress. But I know with Cody feuds, that's not always the way. But I hope it won't be too long and drawn out. And of course, right on cue, where was he all this time? It's Brett Thomas. We should have this like the RNN update that Randy Orton used to do in that period. But yeah, we're back again. Logan Paul has been training with Manny Pacman. Also, Jake sent pic to Dustin following Connor's disgusting insults to his wife and life. Hope you're both well. Well, thank you for the update on the polls this week. Brett Thomas, he's like a anchor man for the polls. SP3, did you see the fight and, of course, the ankle break that, you know, kind of reminded me of Sid when he came off the bloody thing? It was very twisted by the end of it as he came back. But yes, did you get to see the fight at all?
I saw the finish. I didn't get to see the whole fight as of yet. But yeah, I mean, I feel bad for Connor that the fight had to end that way. I feel bad for the fans as well. There's fans that paid a lot of money to see that fight, and then it ends in a doctor stoppage.
Especially if you're in the crowd, you're like, well, what's happened? Because it's easy for us at home because like the commentators are telling you, but then like, do they see that all the time on the big screens? They're like, what? Why has he stopped it? You know, I mean, imagine all that cash down, and then that happens. But I don't know. I suppose that's the thing with boxing and MMA. You know, it's not like you can't unfortunately predict. If they could, they'd have McGregor winning every fight. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely would, but it's a rough thing for him. I hope that he has a speedy recovery, and eventually we're gonna get a Poirier versus McGregor 4 from what Dana White had to say. So yeah, it kind of reminded me of the Anderson Silva injury, the way his foot and he broke his ankle and foot. So yeah, so I hope the best for him.
Yep, there you go. And Rambo following up. I'll give you the pause on one thing. They are a lot more exciting as crossover than Jack Hager. Hager. Guy is just boring to watch. No charisma. He needs mouthpiece big time. There you go. He's not a fan. I mean, Jake Hager, he's one of these guys that I've only really enjoyed his work once. That was when he's with Dutch Mantel. If I'm totally honest with you, like Zeb Coulter, that old character. Yeah. I liked the run he had in, but I think, if I'm honest with you, I enjoyed Zeb Coulter a lot as well. Like he was ripping into a lot of stuff in that day. And it was a time not that long ago, and it was quite out there for WWE to be doing and saying some of those things. I don't know with Hager. I mean, is he going to be one of these guys that we look back on SP3 and we go, what if and what could have been? Or do you feel like maybe he has reached his kind of ceiling in wrestling? I mean, I don't know. Could he branch out and be like, I don't know, a dominant guy, like mix over his unbeaten record of MMA and go, right, this guy's unstoppable? It doesn't seem like AEW have that faith in him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they kind of view him as like a crossover star. And what has either Paul crossed over to? Like they only do boxing. They don't do any type of other sport. They do YouTube and boxing. I guess that's a crossover. I guess. I mean, they were popular from YouTube. That's why they're popular with their boxing fights, because people want to see them get punched out because they're cocky. I don't get the comparison to Jake Hager. It just seemed like an excuse for Rambling Rambo to insult AEW. At least he didn't mention Tony Khan, so I'll give him credit for that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let's not hold our breath. And Brett Thomas also follows up. Yeah, he's way more exciting, and he would be a draw, bigger buy rates than Swagger. Back to Swagger now. Swagger in MMA still does the "We the People" act from wrestling when he walks down. Well, stupid. Well, Brett is not a fan of Mr. But Swagger this time, not hanging with Swagger. Mitchell Carnell from earlier says, "Hi everyone, hi SP3." Yes, and do you think WWE will bring Brock back, or is that definitely not happening? Well, we touched on this last week in SP3. You thought that possibly that is kind of plans changed, that he might now not be coming back. Is that still pretty much the case from what you know?
Yeah, Andrew Zarian of the Matt Man podcast reported last week that Brock Lesnar is apparently not on the books and not listed to return for SummerSlam. They said that they are starting, the talks between the two sides, so he will eventually return, but it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen at SummerSlam. It seems like it's definitely not going to happen at SummerSlam, Rachel, but it will happen probably before the end of this year, maybe Survivor Series or even the Royal Rumble.
Yep, absolutely. Carnage Bane. Brock looks like Mordecai. You've seen his look of Meat Cutter episode. Brett may have been right about Bronco Brock. Blimey, if he comes back as Bronco Brock, I'm calling out Brett Thomas as a time traveler, because that's the only way I can comprehend if that actually happens. But yeah, I did see his new look.
two correct predictions this year.
Yeah, I did see his look. He does look a bit like Mordecai. He's supporting a goatee and a bit of hair on the top now, so maybe he's a new start for Brock. Who knows? And random question out of their question, but who would you expect planning for Hall of Fame 20? Blimey, this is you've thrown this one on me. I have no idea, but I can tell you, Mark Lloyd's gone with Undertaker. Luger, maybe Hall of Fame. Vader also. I doubt Luger at the moment, but Vader definitely. I've said Vader for yonks, but they never have. Undertaker, the thing is, Undertaker's going to be in it. We know that, but it's just kind of like it'll be down to where the location is and stuff like that. Like, does it all fall into place? Anyone stand out for USB3 that you've heard of or you think should go in?
I think Undertaker's a good shout because they're going to be in Dallas for this year's WrestleMania. I'm not even going to acknowledge that comment, but I think actually Lex Luger is a good shout as well because they do have that documentary coming out for Luger that's been preempted for.
What happened with that?
They were supposed to come out July 4th, and then it got rescheduled. Yeah. They want to release it on a pay-per-view weekend, but this weekend they're bringing back Ruthless Aggression series, so it's gonna have to wait, I guess. But yeah, it's kind of strange. Yeah, Hall of Shame. I agree with you, Carnage Pain. Good job, Carnage Pain.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that one. Absolutely. And just Rambo also saying Black versus Pac. That's what you said as well there, SP3. So he's going on with that. Yeah, that's a great match. I mean, I'd love to see it again, but I'd love to see it in like a feud as well. I think they do some good stuff there personally. And also, Carney also agreeing. It's very popular at the moment. That match seems to be the one people want to see. Fifth Gen also saying, unfortunately, it feels like Cody just has to do hot shot or gimmick matches. That was the best UFC card in a long time. He also says, just because the fans were there. Yeah, fans were obviously back. Makes a lot of difference. I think we're, obviously slowly but surely seeing that with wrestling. And I also do think the dynamic of watching a wrestling show will change as well. Obviously, they can't pipe in as much of this crowd as we've had. And that's been all wonderful, I'm sure, for Vince to just press that button and have that come out. It's like a dream. And also he finishes that Fedor is going to kill Jake Hager in that fight down here. So yeah, we'll no doubt talk about that more nearer the time. I'm sure. But we have run out of time, SP3. We have literally gone over the hour mark answering these calls, but it's of course been fantastic to catch up with you as always. And now, Mr. SP3, is that time of the week where we say, bring out the PA, bring out the diary, and run us through what's coming up and also what you've got, because I know there's a big interview that has dropped very recently within the last 24 hours. So tell everybody where you're going to be and also what is available on the Tru Heel Heat.
Yes, right now on Tru Heel Heat, we have my most controversial interview by far, most polarizing interview by far that I've done with former WWE and Impact World Champion Alberto El Patron. I know how a lot of people feel about him. I did ask him about his case that is pending, that is going on, as well as his upcoming matchup with Andrade El Idolo, and as well as his relationship with former WWE superstar Paige. So regardless of how you feel about him, I think I did a good job as a journalist asking him the questions that the fans would most want to hear about. So go over, check that out right now on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel. You can also find me, of course, later today, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. BST, over on the Wrestling Daily YouTube channel with Alex McCarthy. We have a special Money in the Bank themed debate, so you could go over to the Wrestling Daily YouTube channel right now, the community tab, click on that, and you can vote on what our debate is going to be tonight. So go over, it's interactive. You guys determine what we're going to debate, so go over there and vote on that poll. Thursday, tomorrow, I'm going to be live at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. BST on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel with Steven Jensen of the Fight Talk podcast and Fightful Wrestling, as we're going to be previewing Impact Slammiversary. So go over and check that out for sure. You can also find me later on that evening on the Twitch channel for Fightful. I'm going to do a watch along of Impact Wrestling's Go Home Show for Slammiversary with Steven Jensen and Joel Pearl of Fightful Wrestling. On Friday, I'll be back on Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel live at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. BST with the WWE Money in the Bank preview with Phil Lindsay of Bleacher Report, as well as special guest, my new colleague for the pay-per-view previews, none other than Kenny Bolin, who was the former manager of the Prototype, aka John Cena in OVW. He was a protege of Jim Cornette, so he's always got some spicy opinions. So go over.
He's a great guy. I tell you, I haven't heard from him for a long time, but I know him well.
Yes, he was a special guest on Smack Talk last week with myself, Rick Ucchino, and Dutch Mantel. So, of course, you can follow that on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel. Following SmackDown on Friday night, Smack Talk with me, Rick, and Dutch. We're going to preview the first show for WWE in front of live fans since WrestleMania 37. Saturday, Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. BST, we go live with Tru Heel Heat 134 with myself, Top Guy JJ, Miss Chrissy Love, and our special guest, Jeremy Lambert of Fightful Wrestling. We're going to be previewing Slammiversary, Money in the Bank, and of course, covering all of the wrestling news that's going on throughout this week. And then Sunday, I'm going to be live on the Wrestle Talk podcast channel for their very special Money in the Bank live stream, where I'm going to be in their contest, their matchup, the Jam in the Jar, where the winner will get a briefcase to cash in at any stream for Wrestle Talk to face their Jam That Champion, which is currently P. Cornell. I just saw my picks. It just got tweeted out. You can check it out on my Twitter page at Tru Heel SP3. My picks, apparently, because they did it at random, my picks are Naomi in the women's Money in the Bank and Seth Rollins in the men's Money in the Bank. So I'm fingers crossed for Naomi. I'm hoping Naomi. Yep. Because I don't have faith in Seth, but I'm hoping Naomi, fingers crossed, takes the briefcase so I can win the Jam in the Jar briefcase, and I can bring it back here next Wednesday on Powered4SP3.
That would be something there. We'll have our fingers crossed for you there, my friend. And also just to see us at Fifth Gen there saying, another great show. Thank you both. I hope you have, and everyone else in the chat, have a great rest of the day. And you, my friend, thank you for contributing. Also, Rambo, nice work, SP3. Follows up with Take the Heat. It's your gimmick. There
Absolutely.
You go. Well, what do they say? If you can't handle the heat in the kitchen, get out of the kitchen or whatever.
And of course, my brother from Tru Heel Heat, Romeo, has to
he's got pure confidence, hasn't
he? he just never can have faith in the brother. Never have faith. No. It's not my pick. You can hear my pick, my actual picks for those matches on Saturday on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel, or on Friday with Kenny Bolin and Phil Lindsay on Sportskeeda Wrestling.
Absolutely. Yeah. So check that out. And of course, later on, I will be back next week on a special Big Fight Weekly. Stu is off. He's got an anniversary to attend to. So I am filling in on the Big Fight Weekly with Chris. So I'll be back next Tuesday at 6 p.m. GMT time. And obviously back here for Powered4SP3 on the Wednesday at our usual time. But don't forget, this Friday we'll be dropping the Simon Miller. You won't want to miss it because it is the first time we've had that interaction since I smashed him with a ladder that I am very sorry for, of course. So check that out. Watch me do, I think, a good job. I think I was very honest. I think I was open about it, mature about it, and we got it out of the way very early, as I said before. Plus, this Saturday, Chicagoland Championship Wrestling Grapple. Do not forget to check it out. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. For those people that enjoyed the first one, what I will say is this one is another level. It really is. It's another level. They've upped their game. There's some fantastic matches on it, and just wrestling that you don't normally see much of today. They really have their own thing going on there. So really want to recommend everybody to go out and check that out. But thank you as always, Mr. SP3. You running down your week made me want to collapse, even though I haven't done anything by the end of it. But yeah, keep the caffeine going, or whatever you take for your energy. Make sure you've got enough, because you could pass that by the end of it. But thank you as always. Thank you for everybody that's contributed. Don't forget to like and share the video. Check out Tru Heel Heat and the interview, of course. And we'll see you for this show next week. Have a good one, everyone.